Welcome everybody to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement. We give our thoughts, we give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is ASTRO BOT. Here to discuss, as always, he is ASTROBOT, Chris Trio.
I am the Astrobot, Gooch.
I am ASTROBot.
I wish I could put my legs up on my hip.
You could totally get in the middle of the table and just start flossing.
That's true.
That would
I don't
be
know how to
accurate.
floss very well, but I could get there.
I don't either. That's why I didn't do it.
No, that's true. I mean, we're not dancers here. I mean, that's not true. You can lay it down, and I used to be able to lay it down. I don't dance that much anymore.
I've been known to dance.
Gooch has been known to dance.
I've been known to dance. That's a skill I have anyway.
But Gooch, how are you? What's going on?
I am doing fantastic, man. Busy life.
Yeah, weekend was good. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Wellman, right? Officially. This is
Casey, friend of the show, officially married as of now
Absolutely.
to his beautiful bride, Marissa.
Yeah, absolutely. So congrats, guys. Thank you again to Casey for coming on to the Red Dead Redemption episode.
Which 2 episodes are out
now. Yeah, so please go check that out. But enough of the preamble, Gooch. Congrats to Casey. Leave him alone. Let's talk about ASTROBOT. What did you think? Let's start with you. General thoughts.
Yeah,
I want to see what you think.
Wow. ASTROBOT was such a refreshing gem of a game. And I think it is one of the standout titles of the year. Absolutely. It's interesting to see a Nintendo-like game get done better than Nintendo has probably ever done anything like this. Ooh. And I'm drilling into them. You don't see Nintendo. I mean, I'm not going to act like ASTROBOT, its fidelity and graphics are like the greatest thing under the sun. They're good. They're
I think, spectacular for what they need to be. It's like very cartoony.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a Last of Us. It doesn't need to
of course
look
not.
like
Obviously
it's not going to look like that, and it's not going to have like the graphical fidelity style of that. But like for what it is, it looks incredible. Yeah. And I think when we're going to talk about performance and graphical fidelity of this game, it's kind of like what's going on screen. You know, when you get in those balls and there's a bunch of thousands of balls rolling around ASTROBOT, or the acorns fall down.
Lots of physics going on.
You don't see Nintendo doing any of that, and that's simply because the Switch can't handle it.
Sure.
You know, I think, like, especially at this point, obviously, the Switch 2 is on the horizon. But I feel like the Switch has probably been limiting Nintendo of what they can actually do in terms of this fun stuff we've seen ASTROBOT do. I mean, think about having like all 200 ASTROBOTs, almost 300 ASTROBOTs follow you around the crash site. Like, that's something I really don't think the Switch is capable of.
So, it's absolutely not.
Seeing a PlayStation first party studio do this and do it extremely well and fun, to a point where I am like, you know, at the end of the game I was grinning ear to ear, cracking up, like, why is this emotional? Why is this like really good right now? Like, why are we having an Avengers Endgame level moment in ASTROBOT? But I've said a lot, Trio. Let's hear you say some stuff.
Yeah, ASTROBOT. It's a fantastically fun little romp of a game. I had a great time with it. I think what you're saying is very true. I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about it in comparison to like Nintendo at the time, because I think Nintendo does this and does it incredibly well, and they stake their whole fucking reputation on like these types of games, be it more children-oriented, more simple platformer games that are just a lot of fun that most people any age can enjoy. And I think they do it well. And I think that it's refreshing to see Sony dive into that and think about and realize that the market is still there, but also do it very well and do it very differently and do it in a way that Nintendo can't do, like you're saying, with all the physics and all the different haptic feedback things. I think this takes care of a lot of stuff that, or it makes use of a lot of stuff that I feel like we've been told can be made use of in the PlayStation 5.
And let's go back a little bit to Astro's Playroom. That tech demo we got for the DualSense, and how we were like, wow, this is awesome. This is a great tech demo.
This is what the DualSense can do.
Yeah, like, look at all the things the DualSense will do, and no developer will actually ever utilize, because for the majority, and especially for the PS4 as well, no dev is really taking advantage of the tech of the DualSense because it's gimmicky.
Well, but the haptic feedback that was only in PS5 too, right? That wasn't the DualShock 4.
Yeah, but I mean like the blowing in the controller.
Oh,
like
sure.
The moving the controller,
yeah, the motion control. Like, yeah, definitely.
It just all the stuff isn't being utilized. And and not negatively so, but when you see a game use it and use it well, you're like, wow, I forgot what these features look like in a game that's using them, and it feels right.
Well, and there are a lot of PlayStation specific features where it's like, so if you're a third party developer and you're developing this for Xbox and PlayStation, I'm not going to spend a ton of extra time on the haptic feedback on the PlayStation because that's the only place that's going to be on, which, that's where a lot of people are playing. The majority of people are even playing, but I don't think some developers see it as worthy of their time. But it is so cool to see Astrobot take advantage of those motion controls, of that haptic feedback. Really, the haptic feedback's the big one for me. I do think it's fantastically cool how when I'm walking on a wood surface versus a metal surface, I can feel it in my controller. And I think certain games do somewhat take advantage of that. I would like to see it a lot more, but it really is another great tech demo unto itself, which it's more than that, of course. They definitely invested more time into it than that before.
This is a game.
This is absolutely a game. It's worthy of the $50 price tag.
Yeah, I do think it'll take like 20 hours of your time. It took me like 21.
Absolutely. I don't think I'm as high as everyone else on it, just because like it's a platformer and it's really fantastic, but like platformers aren't like my huge jive. I definitely found myself kind of being like, all right, I want to kind of just get through some of these parts. Some of the stages were amazing and interesting and really cool, but I don't have a ton of like connection to a lot of, I guess, these characters because I didn't know who like more than half of them were.
Let me just, for your first point, I did have, I think the worlds are really fun. Not every world is like super original in terms of like, oh, you get an original power for each world. Like, use those like frog hand things a few times.
Cool. Yeah.
Like the one, the sponge one was my favorite. And the one where you get really small.
Yes, like that one was one of my favorites.
Yeah, and those two you only do once. But like the bulldog backpack rocket,
the chicken
jump
one,
thing, some of them you get again, and that's fine.
There's a few you only get at the end, right, when the credits roll. Like there's like the tambourine one. Like I don't think
you get it one other time.
You do? Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you get it in the. So if you do all the galaxies, the lost galaxies, you get it there in the last stage that opens up.
I think my favorite kind of stages, though, were those retro ones. Like, where you'd hit everything and they turn to polygons.
Yeah.
And it would break. It was something so satisfying.
When you were just talking, what was your last point? You were talking about the worlds, and then you went to... Oh, the IPs.
Right.
So there were a ton of things I didn't know. At first glance, I was like, who the fuck is that?
Right, yeah.
There's a lot of, Sony is definitely celebrated here, and I think... For all intents and purposes, Sony has found their Smash. They tried to do Smash. We all remember PlayStation All-Star Brawls. Actually, maybe we don't, and that's been just thrown to the wayside. But, PlayStation tried to do Smash, and they tried to bring their IP in, and that didn't work.
They have Crash Team Racing, too, and stuff, right? Like, things like that.
But, All-Star Brawl...
Exactly,
PlayStation All-Star Brawls was, like,
very much a brawl,
IP. But, Astrobot... the Playroom version of it. I don't think Rescue Mission, the VR game, actually has the IP component in it. I think it is just like, here's Team Asobi Astrobot VR, and I heard it is a good VR game.
Makes sense.
But Astrobot is just a celebration of Sony's IP in a platformer. And finding people from the God of War folks to Sly Cooper to Resident Evil, and getting as deep cut as maybe like Gravity Rush, Patapon. I think there's Brave Fencer Musashi characters, but like old JRPGs that most people don't know about, which is the stuff I'm like, who the like.
I'm like, I don't know who any of these are.
And here's one of my negatives with Astrobot. I wish they had a better quality of life with that stuff. Tell me who the character is.
I was gonna say, I wish there was like a museum type thing. Or something.
And you can go in the crash site, hit that little game guy, and he shows you all the characters in there.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, it's like right next to the crash ship.
Gotcha.
And you can see them all, but it doesn't tell you what game they're from, who they are, what year that game came out, what console they came out on. I think that would
quality
be
of life stuff.
Really helpful.
Yeah.
Even Kingdom Hearts 1, when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, and they had Final Fantasy characters in that, and they had BIOS for the original characters and the Final Fantasy characters, and they say like Final Fantasy in the year, and that was like in 2002. They even thought to do that. It's like, hey, like what if we have people who don't know this IP, and I was one of those people, and it stuck with me.
It's a bit different, but one of the things in Arkham Origins I remember really enjoying was their little thing there. You'd pop up their Rolodex, and it would show you who the character is, what year they were created, what comic they were from, and gave their whole little bio.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the major reasons I got into like Batman and DC. So I could see that being something for someone playing PlayStation, especially a younger person, and even me, where like I would love to have all that detailed information and to be really able to go back and look.
At least to know.
And again, that's not like going to make a huge deal.
I don't have to go on the internet and be like, let me type in the
and that's what
the
they're banking
name
on.
and like
the game,
figuring out who it is. And like even like
wiki.
the PlayStation 1 mascot that like was in like one ad.
The Polygon, Mr. Polygon or whatever.
Yeah,
the
and I'm like,
the
what
purple
the
dude.
fuck is this?
You would
And
never
like,
know. Yeah.
Yeah, some background would have helped. But there are some IPs that are predominantly missing. Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts being the two big ones. It seems like they got to deal with Capcom because we have Resident Evil, Castlevania, and same with like Konami. They got to deal with Konami because there's a ton of Metal Gear characters in there. And Astrobot's Playroom had a few Final Fantasy characters, but not in this. So I think
It could be saving it for this next one.
There is some opportunity, I think, to do other games and expand into more IP. Maybe they do a turn-based game, and it's a lot of Final Fantasy characters. Maybe,
makes sense.
Maybe that's the... I don't think they need to do a platformer next, Team Asobi.
Yeah.
But I think they need to keep doing Astrobot. I think Astrobot is really popular and has become the PlayStation mascot for all intents and purposes. And I think like all these characters in the Astrobot look works. Like,
it
fun,
absolutely does. I do love how
cute.
some of them like Crash is just wearing a mask, like he's an Astrobot. At one point, his mask falls off,
yeah.
which is funny because at first I was like, why don't they just give him like Astrobot eyes? And then there was the real.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think that it is a really fantastic celebration of a lot of things. PlayStation. I do think some of the stages got a little repetitive here and there. With just using those same things. I felt like I was using that chicken thing a lot.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying I'm like that returned, and you felt like it kind of like overstayed its welcome a little bit, but like the sponge and the
that
small
one was fun, yeah,
one timers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would have liked to see maybe some of that stuff reworked and brought back in again, but I understand kind of wanting to use it once and have that impact because. Like we're talking about it very heavily right now. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. I really did like the challenge maps, the different like square, X, and triangle ones.
I liked it. It's like, okay, we don't just have our thematic galaxies. We have like not time rushes per se, but like challenge maps
almost. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
I like those ones a lot. I liked how they were all themed around the different face button colors and stuff.
Yeah, and the retro one, like you brought up earlier. I did have a problem with the level design. I like how you can easily go back, get the little bird guy, and he helps you find the rest of the stuff you couldn't find. But too many times in too many of the maps did it section you off from a part of the map.
And then you can't go back.
I can't go back. Like, not once, not twice, like 10, 15
No, I know exactly
times.
what you're talking about.
And I was like, oh, I missed a puzzle piece. Like, I just want to go back. And I can't. I think like with what this game is, I just think that's like a level design kind of issue. It just seems like they just kept doing that. There are plenty of maps where you can go back for a while, but like some
of them you can almost go all the way back.
Yeah, some maps are just like hard railroads, and it's not just one; it's like 2 or 3.
And it does suck because
you can't go back. You have to restart this thing, and then
that's the thing that does. And again, this is a very small issue, but I know I ran into that issue too, where I'd get to a part and it's like, oh, I liked how all of the collectibles were set up in the row of which you'd find them. So it's like if you missed one, you're like, it's behind me. Okay, I need to go back and find it back there, even the puzzle pieces and stuff. I didn't finish up all of the Astrobots yet because I finished up last night, and I just kind of wanted to finish and like get the last one done. All my other galaxies are done, though. They're all fully explored. Like I have all the Astrobots, all the puzzles, just that final one. Does that change your ending at all? I'd be curious, having like all the Astrobots.
You actually, you get one more Astrobot then you can see. So like there's a big challenge map at the end of the game.
Once you have all of them that you only unlock?
Yeah, and you do like one more, like it's a challenge one, like the face button ones, and you get one more. So the ending doesn't change there.
I did expect... I see what they did. Like every galaxy is finished off with a themed stage for a different PlayStation. Well, not PlayStation IP. Or
Well, really
something,
quick,
but-
before we get there, just to go in the order of operations, what'd you feel about the bosses?
Oh, they're fun. They weren't. Some were more challenging than others. I thought the Ginny was one of my favorites for sure. I like that one a lot.
I thought the Condor one was cool.
That one was fun.
I thought all the bosses were really fun. Like, you know, just what the, you know, 1, 2, 3, and they're dead. But like every phase was like different. It wasn't just you're doing the same thing
Exactly.
like, 3 times. Like I felt like they were very fun and inventive and goofy.
They didn't overstay their welcome either. I felt.
Yeah,
like they weren't
and then
overly complicated.
once you killed the boss, you found somebody from a PlayStation IP, and then you'd go to a themed world. So
Right.
we had Ape Escape for the first one, God of War Ragnarok, Uncharted, Horizon, and
I don't know the big one where you're like a big ball. What's that one?
Katamari. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Katamari.
I like that. I actually like that one a lot because it was all motion based. It was like when you're the big ball and it like fills up, and then you have to like move your controller to tilt it. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
And you were saying about those.
But yeah, I don't know why I was expecting those to be more littered throughout. I was expecting to get more of
I
that.
can understand that.
I didn't expect it to just be kind of one stage at the end of each map. I did think it was cool that each one of them had their own kind of gimmick, for lack of a better term. I feel like that almost has a negative connotation.
Yeah,
but
I mean, was it fun to get the gun as Nathan Drake and just shoot everything?
Yeah, it was
and-
pretty fun actually.
Yeah, I
and
really
even
enjoyed
I really liked the Horizon world with the bow and arrow. I thought that was a lot of fun. I mentioned this in Discord, and I think it does say a lot that Horizon.
It wasn't Patapon, it was Loco Roco.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Excuse me,
Thank
sorry.
you. I do think it says a lot about where Sony's head is at right now.
Or Katamari, whatever.
That Horizon Zero Dawn is the final stage. I think that is
yeah.
a choice.
Oh, yeah.
And listen, I don't hate on Horizon. I think they're great games. I haven't played the second one, so I'll say that. But Sony really does seem to be leaning into the IP. We have the remake coming up. We have the Lego coming up, which is
Yeah.
that trailer was a little odd. But it looks fun. It looks very Lego. I think they're going head first on Horizon, and I don't know. I think putting it as the final like coup de grace stage is making a bit of a point of where
tells you.
yeah, like where
exactly.
they put it on the pedestal. Like,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense having like God of War as like the second or third one, whichever it was, because like we're getting into it now. This is the thick of it. This is a big fun one, and I thought that was a lot of fun with his axe to play around with. And the Kratos Astro Boy looks hilariously good.
And did you like the mixes for each world? They
I
did like
did.
a different version of the theme.
All the soundtracks I think were really good for the most part. I really
Yeah.
liked the one mushroom area. It was in one of the extra galaxies. I don't know when they're all like dancing in the in the thing. Where was I going again? I lost it. Either way,
with Horizon.
oh yeah, with Horizon, it's interesting. I think they are going full steam ahead with that. I would expect. I don't know. Maybe I would have expected like a God of War to be the final one, or even like I don't know what's another.
You know what I was? You know what?
There's no Ghost World, which kind of surprises me.
What do you mean?
Actually, Ghost of Tsushima World.
Oh,
I think that would have been
you
a good
think?
one. Jin
That
Saga.
surprised you?
No, maybe not
Like
surprise
it could have
me.
been
That
fun to
should
have a
been,
katana
like,
and like make some sort of
I think that's just as popular as, if not more, as like a Horizon Zero Dawn. So yeah, I think that is worthy of putting in there. Maybe that's in a next one. But yeah, I don't know. I think it does say a lot about where Sony's head is at, that Horizon Zero Dawn finishes off the game. Until you get to that final boss, which I was grinning ear to ear too. That was the first time where I was truly like laughing out loud and kind of giggling. And my girlfriend was playing, she was playing Stardew while I was playing Astro Bot. And she was watching. She was like, "This is so fucking cute. Where did this come from? I want to play a little too."
Dude,
and I think this does open up a lot of doors for like I can show this to my niece and nephews. I can't show my nephew The Last of Us. Yeah,
Right.
it's just not gonna work.
right.
So I can show them Astro's Playroom though, and it gives them a good fucking idea of how to play a 3D world and have fun with
And
it
it's
and
simple.
start to enjoy it.
Yeah, and
exactly.
and it's digestible. And like one of the things I was saying in our Discord, which you can join, is we don't get these kind of games anymore. But
PlayStation
Nintendo
specifically.
aside, like we don't get Tak and the Power of Juju or Sly Cooper or much of Ratchet or Jack. Like we just don't get the action platformer genre much at all anymore. So going back to it on the console I grew up on was really meaningful to me. And again, I think if you're in a hardcore Nintendo gamer, you may like what you see, but like you are playing these games
That's what I mean. It
So-
feels like Xbox and Sony have just seeded this whole thing to them, to Nintendo, the kid side of things.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But PlayStation has never really gotten that kid audience, and I feel like they've always tried to capture it.
I was gonna say, I felt like they at least tried more back in the day, like with your crashes and even Jack and Daxter was more kiddie, right?
I wouldn't say Sony was necessarily doing that. I just think that's what
they were more
games
accepting
that
of
were
it.
being made.
That makes sense,
They were being
yeah.
made for our generation. I would really argue that games predominantly are not made for kids anymore. They're made for us.
Well, again, I think that's correct.
Nintendo aside,
and it's so funny,
but
'cause
they're
that's-
also made for
That's
us.
what the FTC court says too. But because it is like Sony or Nintendo has really cut themselves their own little slice of the pie when it comes to the gaming industry, and Microsoft and Sony have felt like they don't have to do anything. They have their own little realm over here to fight with each other. So why even try and go after that? And I think it's dumb. And I think this Astrobot's success shows that that's kind of a stupid move. But, Nintendo, I guess with the Switch, I keep hearing on Colin say on Sacred Symbols that, like, the new specs are supposedly in between a PS4 Pro and a PS5 for the next Switch. So if the Switch 2 can start playing PS4 games and stuff like that generation of games, that opens up a whole new fucking sector for Switch players, especially. So that will be very interesting to see. But I don't know, man. I'd love to see Sony attempting again and hitting it out of the park. And by the way, this probably took 2 years to make and cost like $60 million or whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up right now.
I don't think those numbers are out. I'm curious to see the numbers and the units sold for this. Chris Connor, friend of the show, did chime in on twitch.tv where you can watch us record most of our podcast live. He said they, being Sony, needs to use their fucking properties. Same with Nintendo. And I think that's clear as day when you come to like these obscure JRPGs that you haven't heard of, because it's like, yeah, like they're not making the same kind of games they were 20 years ago.
Well, dude, I mean, it's a completely different world. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a completely different world. But could they be restarting these IPs and sort of, remastering these for a new generation? Yeah, and they kind of are in a way.
So Push Square is saying they took about 3 years, which is actually, that kind of seems like a while to me, actually. I would have assumed with something a bit listen, there's a lot of physics engines going on here and stuff like that.
I assume Playroom almost just balled into Astrobot.
Side note, but somewhat related. How long do you think it took to develop Outlaws Star Wars?
2 years.
It's 4 years.
Jesus Christ.
Does that long? Because I thought it would have been long. I would have assumed that took 6 years. Genuinely. Because it's a AAA open world action RPG. The fact that this took 3 years and that took 4 years kind of blows me away, to be honest. That this took 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's very interesting to me. But
I was kind of expecting the end of Astrobot, when you fix the ship, to be the PlayStation 5 Pro.
Oh yeah, that would be
and like that's where it was revealed in Astrobot. I think that would have been a really
been cool
marketing thing.
But then, yeah, I don't know. I get what you mean.
And then we
think
got
that
the
could've been
Mark
definitely
Cerny Power Hour, and we all got
cool. That
underwhelmed.
fucking picture of him. He's like,
We're gonna be talking about Sony next month, so we're gonna be talking that more in depth. So if you're not subscribed already, please do, and let us know what you're thinking of Astrobot and maybe the PS5
we should
Pro.
honestly. I'm just thinking on the fly. We might not do this, but we should actually maybe just send out, like, have people write in on that and see like what their thoughts are currently on Sony.
Okay, it's a thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's very high level thought. We might not do that. But do you want to get to the ending? I don't want to skip over anything.
Yeah, well, you were talking about the ending. Yeah, when Captain America comes out of the portal. Dude, I just was literally like, why is this like Endgame Portals moment happening?
Wait,
right now?
what's I'm trying what, all the different PlayStations come out of like the thing?
Like
it's
the ships
so
and like
it was really good.
There's the
yeah.
PS Go and the PSP
You
and
have,
the
like, the
PlayStation
gun,
2 ship,
like the-
and you're just fucking firing. Like it was just so epic.
It
and
was
so
really cool.
Fun.
I did
Just
not
so
expect
fun.
that. So like you're get into this final boss battle and it's like all hands to battle stations, and they go to basically the hangar bay, and all the old PS5 hardwares from just like you said, move
the PlayStation
controllers
hardware.
to PlayStation
The
1.
PS5 hardware.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, any type of PlayStation hardware, like random things that I didn't even recognize. I was like, what is that flying in the background?
The iToy,
Yeah,
and
all
like
that crazy
the
shit.
PlayStation Go, Vita, the controllers, memory cards,
Yeah, and then you have this big final boss battle, bass bottle, that was different, with the alien that shot you guys out of the sky, and I thought that final battle was pretty cool. I don't think it was anything wild. It definitely wasn't my favorite, like, out of all of them, but I think the ending itself is amazing.
The ending battle and the thematics,
the climax, and like just the moment. So,
and then Astrobot fucking dies.
it gets so dramatic.
I'm like, why? This is sad.
They're all holding on to him as he's being drug into the portal.
Yeah.
And that moment when it goes slow-mo and he just looks back and looks, I'm like, don't do it. And he just lets go. It's so dramatic. And he flies back in the portal and the credits start rolling. And I'm
And
like,
then all the Astrobots are crying.
just crying, and it's sad as hell. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
And it gets spit back out, right?
Yeah, it goes up for a second, and then it's like, and they're like, wait, and then it stops, and the credits roll back down, and you see like a star, and then he comes down, and you get your weird robot arms out, and you fix him, and he's fine. And everyone's
flossing.
and everyone's just having a great time, and it really is great. I was grinning from ear to ear too. Yeah, that was my absolute favorite.
The
part.
interactive credits are great. I usually love
my
that in
favorite
games
parts,
when
yeah.
the credits are interactable, or the credits are like a level,
Literally. Yeah.
So that was cool,
And it was cool because they run you through all the different upgrades and stuff or power ups, I should say, that you were using throughout the game as you're just walking through them. Really cool. I gotta say, not a game I usually get in the way of platformers, like I said, but I think $60 is a worthy price tag for about 20 to 25 hours of fun, depending on how slow or fast you play.
The platinum is pretty obtainable. I got that, and you said you were working on it.
It's funny. There's a lot. I thought there was going to be a lot of it just getting done through doing the main campaign.
No, there's a few spoilers. You have to make, so if you hit
like a ladder of people.
No, that.
Yeah.
But if you hit Kratos while he's on the crash site, he throws the axe at you.
Yeah.
So if you have to hit him and stand in front of Thor, and he hits Thor, and you get a trophy.
I see.
When you get Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter, you have to hit them both at the same time, and they'll kind of fight you. And you'll get an achievement there.
Okay,
you have to
those
dance,
are all the hidden ones, I assume?
Dancing with Crash gets you one.
I see.
There's some level-oriented ones where you have to go back to levels. Like, each of those final stages has a trophy. Like, for the Uncharted one, you have to get the precursor orbs. And there's 3 of them.
I see, okay.
Another one on the Crash site, you have to take a picture of Nathan Drake and Lara Croft together. So Lara's, when you get the dinosaur, there's a dinosaur chasing her around the PlayStation 5. And so when she lines up with Drake and you get them both in a shot, you get a trophy there as well.
Cool.
But yeah, so all those final thematic worlds have a trophy to them. The Ape Escape one, there's a big gold butterfly you have to catch. And it's easy enough to look up.
You just got to go back and
figure it out. But yeah, but like, it is like, do everything in the game, but like, here's a few little extras, and it's nothing crazy. I wrapped everything up like the day I beat it.
One small quality of life thing I did like when you're going back to the levels, if you get a person, you can just quit. Like, if you find the collectible,
you don't have to finish.
You don't have to finish the level. You can get it and then just exit the level. I thought that
you
was
don't
nice.
need to get all the gotcha things.
Right.
For the platinum.
Is that the picture? Like where you take the picture?
No,
of
the gotcha is the thing where you pull the machine and you get the ball. You
Oh,
squeeze it.
right. Yeah. I think I'm only missing one of them.
What did you think of the customization options for Astro? I was about to say Astro Boy, Astrobot, the different controller ship colors.
I kind of
the
assumed
outfits.
you would get a costume for everyone you unlock. I didn't realize there was a set amount only in that room. That you only get through pulling the thing.
It is an odd,
So-
like it's like, okay, you get the Bloodborne thing, Ratchet, Jack.
So I didn't even have a Bloodborne one yet. There's
it's
like
all
a few.
random.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like that's the only thing I didn't like. I kind of wish I could just go in and purchase the one that I want.
Sure.
Because by the end I didn't have all. I had most of the controller colors.
Yeah.
But most of my costume room was still empty, and I had been I'd been doing the thing. So that was the only thing that kind of annoyed me with the costumes. But overall, I think, aesthetically, the controllers especially looked really good. I like the neon one I was using, like the almost like pink and purple.
Yeah, the synthwave one.
Yeah, it's
I was
very
on it.
cool. Overall, I thought all the customization was great. I don't think it's like super in depth or anything, but I like
No.
the amount of costumes that you have.
But like when you look at Playroom and you look at the demo version of what Astrobot was,
Right.
I think they did improve upon
1000%,
it.
yeah.
And yeah, like just to going into like we were talking about the future of Astrobot and Team Asobi, I think they just do something like this again. But like I don't really think it needs to be a platformer.
But like it's Astrobot. You're saying
Yes.
first
So
person
like again,
shooter. No.
it could be like some like turn-based game, like sort of like South Park Stick of Truth, but with Astrobots, and maybe it's Final Fantasy themed, like the whole
Right.
thing, or maybe yeah, like I don't know. I think they could kind of capitalize off of like different gameplay genres and just kind of do the same thing. But again, we don't have to bring in all the same characters again. We can try to get other characters that we didn't get for this. Obviously, there's a finite amount of those, and we're gonna run out. But I think Astrobot is too much of a fan favorite to just kind of let go.
Absolutely. I doubt they'd go in that like different of a direction of gameplay wise.
Like maybe
personally.
they're gonna, like I would be surprised if they didn't do a PSVR 2 title. But that
Yeah.
also might seem like a waste for them to do at this point.
I mean, dude, I'm still surprised. I don't know. Apparently, there's still like the amount of PSVR stuff that was shown at the State of Play surprised me. I will just say that.
Well, it's
I'm
only a
surprised.
matter of time before Sony totally disavows.
I thought they
thing.
already, but that's the thing. I don't think they are for a bit because I thought they were going to. I didn't think we'd see any PSVR stuff. Like I thought it was out the door. But the fact that they showed anything at all kind of tells me that they're committed to it a little bit. But
for now,
For sure,
until
definitely.
they just decide to not be. You know? I think that's
Absolutely.
what the
But,
way it went with the last one.
I think you make another one of these genuinely, and you go more in depth with the IP stuff, like those IP levels, and make it a bit even more in depth in certain ways, and not thought out. That's the wrong way to put it, but yeah, more elaborated upon.
So
especially
we do know we are getting some DLC.
right, they're like challenge speedrun maps or something, right?
Yeah, they're like time trials,
Right.
and we're getting the leaderboards like we did in Playroom with your friends, and we know we're getting the Hell Divers and Eve from Stellar Blade,
Right.
minus the tits.
Yeah. Tier. Did you see the Stellar Blade update?
That her boobs move closer together.
Yes,
I
better
did.
physics. Good job. That's a lot. They probably spent a lot of time on that. Good for them.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah,
I
so
re-downloaded it now.
I'm excited for the DLC. I'm curious if they're gonna add trophies. I did forget to mention, Astrobot was my 100th platinum. So I did not intend for this to happen. It was just kind
That's
of the
a
way
nice
everything
little-
fell.
that's
but
a-
I felt this was a good 100th platinum. Like
Gooch,
that.
I'm not usually a man of fate.
Yeah,
But
that was.
that's something. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. That's
yeah,
cool. I like
yeah,
that a lot.
yeah.
A nice little fun fact.
I would agree. So I mean, obviously, I'll definitely be hopping into DLC
for sure. I'm gonna finish off. I'm gonna jump back in honestly. Probably when I
Yeah,
get
you gotta
home
get that
and
plat.
finish the platinum.
It's
off,
like too
probably.
easy.
Well, and especially I assume after I finish like all the bots and the puzzle pieces, it's literally just doing all those kind of like most of those hidden ones and
Right.
a lot of those
Yeah.
level based.
You don't
ones.
get anything like big, huge, new unlock at the end.
I'm trying to think what my last platinum was. It might have been Sifu.
Spider-Man?
No, I think it's. Oh yeah, I guess that
Spider-Man
would have
2?
been. Yeah, I guess it would have been that. And then Sifu was before that. I think.
Another thing we didn't see, by the way, Spider-Man.
that,
It's a Marvel IP, I get it, but it is
Oh,
a
yeah.
Sony
True.
exclusive.
but yeah, it's true. I don't know. That doesn't surprise. It's weird. You would expect them to maybe have like. No, I was gonna say an exclusive Astrobot, but it's only on PlayStation. So. Yeah, that is actually interesting. I'm kind of surprised he's maybe not in there as a bot, but you know that licensing cost is probably so fucking stupidly wild
Yeah,
and expensive.
yeah. And I would, like this is totally a bit off topic, but I would love to see Microsoft kind of find their Astrobot too.
Right.
I think this could be really cool. Like, like not a platformer, but like, how does Xbox sell? I mean, I would say, honestly, Xbox celebrates their IP more often than Sony does. At least they're past.
Yeah.
At least they're past.
Good job, Xbox.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
But yeah, I think that I think doing the same thing for Microsoft could be fun. And Nintendo is always celebrating their IP. Smash has been a celebration of their IP since the 90s. So they've already been totally on top of this.
One also caveat to my development comment earlier. I didn't realize there was only 60 developers on that team, apparently.
Yeah.
So
Japanese
that makes
team.
makes much more sense.
They're doing better than the Conqueror team for sure.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, because we haven't talked about it, but
Yeah.
anything else? I have a closing thought.
I don't
I'll
think
end this
so,
on.
Gooch. I will say to anyone thinking about purchasing Astrobot,
To buy it.
to buy it. Yeah, it's absolutely a grand old time, and I think you'd have a lot of fun, even like with a significant other playing it or something like that. Maybe someone who's not even a super big gamer
I was
or something
sending
like that.
any like cute thing that Kathy might get to her, and she was like, what's that?
Yeah.
Like here's the stray cat.
Yeah. It's great stuff.
So let's end on a question, shall we, Trio? Is Astrobot Game of the Year?
No, not for me. I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
So I ask you in the context of not for you. I already know that answer.
Sure.
In the Jeff Keighley, the Game Awards, is Astrobot getting nominated, and could it win in that context?
Will. I don't think it should win. I mean, it's a grade A 5-star platformer, but like, I don't know. It's a platformer for me. It's real. And that's me personally.
Was up for Game of the Year. Do you think
when it
came out?
Yeah, and you know that's the other thing. So
But
Nintendo's been doing this for a while.
The same conversation.
I'd probably have the same conversation.
Yeah.
And again, that's my personal thought process on it. I could see how you could argue for it. You know, I'm not going to disregard that, and I'm really happy to see so many people like thoroughly enjoying it. Especially if Dylan in the Discord, he was absolutely adoring it. Chris, Connor himself, of course. It's a fantastic game, and I'm not surprised if anyone puts it up at their top game of the year at this point. But no, not for me.
Yeah. So my thoughts are in a similar vein. No, it is not going to win Game of the Year. It's missing that narrative hook that when I evaluate a Game of the Year and what I think is the best Game of the Year, that means it has to excel in all categories. While Astrobot's narrative is fun and it's engaging and it's entertaining, anything that comes out like Dragon Age Veilguard has the makings of Game of the Year for me. That game is going in a way, and especially narratively, going to beat Astrobot out of the water. You know, it's going to engage me on a different way that is more important, and that's like just terms of like emotional storytelling, and again, not just like fun factor.
And I think, but that also gets down to opinions on things not being objective, and everyone finds things that matter to them more than others, of course, with that very blank caveat. So I can understand why someone would see this and be like, "No, this blows Dragon Age out of the water for me." You know what I mean?
Like, and if it like, will it be in my games of the year list when we do our personal thing? Maybe, probably,
yeah.
I think so. It's a standout title
even right now. Like the only other thing that stands out in my mind now is like Stellar Blade.
Yeah,
and even like that's not like a game of the year game. I fucking love that game. I had a lot of fun with it, but I'm not like whoa. Like I am. I mean, we'll get into it on the thing. Like Outlaws is for sure my game of the year so far, which has been interesting. But I'm curious to see what especially Dragon Age can do. But I don't think it's wrong for anyone to say that this is their game of the year at all. I can see why you would make that argument and think that and really feel that way. So could it win game of the year, Gooch? I think so. I think it could. Do I think it should? I don't think so. I don't know. But that's just me. That's just me. And I'm a Sony shill now, as you can see by my PlayStation shirt.
Dude, I didn't even like think about that.
Yeah.
We were talking about Trio's shirt like before we started, and like we are doing a PlayStation exclusive review.
Yeah. No big deal.
Didn't think about that at all.
What can I say?
Yeah, it's like a funny conversation. It's almost laughable. Like I kind of wanted to do a shtick of that. I just like totally like stone-faced Astrobot's Game of the Year,
right?
And like looked at you and like just didn't flinch.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way I can like keep that facade up like the entire rest of the year. That would have been really funny.
Yeah, you're like, I was kidding the whole time. I was lying. That's funny.
Yeah. There's no way I could do that, but I thought it would be funny. But like the gameplay it's good. Like I gotta admit, but like you know when you
fantastic.
When you have the year where the Switch came out, Mario Odyssey was up for Game of the Year. It didn't win, and I think there's a reason why.
Yeah.
You have a game like Overwatch that won Game of the Year. It's a little different. It's a multiplayer game, but it does have a narrative, even though it's not told to you in the stereotypical fashion.
See, I think you're putting too much emphasis on the narrative here.
I think there is.
I do think, again, it just comes down to...
Honestly, narrative is probably like the number one thing for me for Game of the Year. I think like when I think about Game of the Year, it's gameplay for sure, but like how good was that story?
I'm probably 60-40. 60 gameplay, 40 story. Because the gameplay has to be good. Or else the in between the story,
I think if the gameplay is shit, it does fall away from the Game of the Year because of that. But like,
of course, yeah.
Like when I think, you know, when you play The Last of Us Part 2 and you go, damn, this story is unlike anything that's ever been told in video games.
Okay.
I think that makes you be like, it's game of the year, whether
Sure.
you love the gameplay or not. Is Last of Us Part 2's game?
Last of Us has done a story in how it's never been done before in video games.
I think in terms of its themes and the way it approaches storytelling, yeah, I don't think that's been done before. I think it's unique.
I don't know. I think it's very serious and dramatic, and that's why people.
I think that's a factor. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why it's different and unique. But
you made me lose my point.
I'm sorry,
but
I couldn't let that stand.
Is Last of Us Part 2's gameplay like the most revolutionary thing ever?
See,
no,
I'm like
it's tight. It's tight as fuck.
It's so
but
funny.
like it's not like, whoa, we've never seen this before.
I'm completely the opposite of you on that spectrum. Like, I think the story is like meh, and the gameplay is so in depth and interesting and very different from anything we've ever seen before. But
what?
Yeah, I
Really?
mean, yeah, the stealth in that
It's
is
a third-person
insane.
action game.
But like the stealth and the way
And it
people
works.
react, and it's amazing. But like the story, it's like I don't know what's so different about that story that like it's told in a broken up way and like different parts are told before.
Not that.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, I just, again, I think when it comes down to the Game of the Year conversation, it's much more nebulous than that. I think we can describe what we personally want to see in a Game of the Year and what will make it a Game of the Year.
I
But
think
yeah.
Astrobot will win a lot of awards. Like when we get to the family game category, Astrobot's going to sweep the shit out of anything else that's in there.
I think
it's always a Nintendo award, but
Right.
it's not winning this year. And I think Astrobot can be in like adventure game. And I think I would vote for it because it is like the definition of an adventure game.
I agree.
But once you bring it into the narrative sector, anything like would it win best art direction? I think it could. You know, it's got a clear art direction and it's clearly different. But like, I don't know what else it would be against. But
I think
it's an interesting conversation.
I think there's a 50% chance it wins Game of the Year.
Yeah,
Genuinely. Like the way it was reviewed, the way everyone keeps talking about it, I really do think that there's a strong chance it will win.
I am glad I did find negatives in it. Like,
sure.
I would not consider my two negatives being nitpicks. It's just like there could be better quality of life here. Is really all.
No, I think they're
all it
reasonable
is.
critiques.
I've been playing Doom Eternal. You know what I love in Doom Eternal?
Codexes and stuff.
No, but why would you think I'd love that?
Because that's what you were talking. I don't know. I just made the assumption.
In terms of quality of life.
Yeah.
So like before you finish a level, the game makes fast travel available to you to go back, clear the level before you finish.
So
I love that.
I don't think that was originally in the game.
No
Because I remember
way.
playing it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, when can you do this? Because I was
Yeah.
replaying it on PlayStation trying to get the platinum. Because the PS5, it doesn't transfer. You have to restart
True,
it.
you got to do that multiplayer, man. You're not going to get the platinum.
No. Oh, well, so that's the other part. Yeah, I didn't even realize that there were multiplayer or trophies. So
Finished all them yesterday, baby.
yeah, I know, didn't you boost them, right? It went really well. That's good.
Yeah, very, very well. We'll talk about it on the monthly.
No, absolutely. I don't remember where I was going. I'm ranting too much.
You didn't remember that fast travel feature being in the.
Oh yeah,
in the
I don't
game
think it
launch.
was in the base camp. When I think that was an update.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
So
It might have been.
because,
But that's awesome.
I only need to do like one other playthrough, and I'm like, this eliminates like the wrap up at the end of the game. I'm like, I'm just doing
You just
it
have to
as I
go through each level.
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It is.
Yeah.
I think that does it for us, though, Gooch. Right?
That does it.
Awesome.
Until we see Astrobot again. Farewell.
Let us
sir.
know in the comments if Astrobot is your game of the year. What you think? Tell us why we're wrong or correct or all that good stuff. We love to hear from you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Always goes a long way. Helps us with the algorithmic gods. But thank you all so much for watching with us. If you've been with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we always appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your platform of choice. We are on all the social medias as well. We got a Discord page. Discord channel, Facebook page. We're at Delco Nerds on basically everything with an @sign. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to delconnerds@gmail.com. I couldn't remember if it was Delco Nerd or Delco Nerds. Jesus Christ. Thank you all so much for watching. For Gooch, I've been Trio. We'll see you next time, guys. Stay nerdy.